So he has a lot of really cool articulation, as you can see in the hind legs. So forgive me for not knowing all the exact terminology, but we have rotation left and right here. It feels really stiff. I don't want to see if it goes 360 degrees. The ankle does go 360 degrees, and there seems to be a hinge 360 degrees at the knee with a hinge that goes that far back and that far forward, and I can totally see that being useful for this kind of a pose. Let's see how far we can stretch him forward and keep those paws square to the ground. Right about there. Up. What's going on this side? There we go. That's not a bad forward stretch, if I say so myself. And if we were to scale him really quickly, we have Prince Adam. We can do a bare mount. These classics figures have wonky ankles, hard to stand, but it looks great. Front view. That's with the shoulders tucked in. Looks cool, like he's stretching, but I could bring the shoulders out, bring the paws out. Bring them back in. Hind legs can come out and flare out slightly. You can't really tell from this angle, but the hind legs can flare out that way and in here at the hip. So that's some really cool articulation. That's a good range of motion. And then forward. So you see that we get a decent inward stretch and forward crouch, or kind of like a bow. This is more a product of not having the right angle on this side. There we go. Not a bad bow. I can bring the legs back. The cringer can sit. Paws up. Very, very nice, right? Very cool, right? Two dudes, buddies. You know, not too bad. Cringer's head can do 360 degrees. The mouth opens and closes. Side view, cool range of motion. The neck goes about as far down as this, and he can bow down. He can look up with the neck extended downward. And that gives him almost more of a meekish kind of scared look. And just so that you can see from the side, the neck can also come back up, and now he's just looking upward. Now he has kind of like that cowardly, sulking kind of a look with the ears back. That's a very subtle, cool effect. Very, very cool. Just notice that. And then of course, we can bring that back up there. I really like the fact, again, that these shoulders can come in. like that, right? And if he wanted to get cozy and he was stretching, you know, by the fireplace in the castle, he can stretch forward and yawn if he wanted to, you know. He's like, ah, give me a snack. Give me a snack, Adam. All right. Cool beans. Or he can go ahead and get brawny again. Another very nice pose, as if they were taking a picture for the Royal Album. Side view. Let's get Adam out of the way. It's not your show, buddy. It's not your show, buddy. All right. Let's get him back up on his feet, on his paws. See what that looks like from the front. Let's go ahead and splay those legs in the back. Keep these paws in the front nice and tight, as if he's gonna pounce. Excuse me for blocking the camera there. Articulate him upward there, and there. And he has that look like he's about to pounce. See something, he's about to pounce on it. That is another very, very, very cool pose right there. Just the options, because of the range of motion that all of the points of articulation have, is so cool. You know, even just that adjustment to the stance is so cool. You know, he's kind of like looking in. All right, so I got the dio out, and I kind of just propped him up there, crouched him down. Could be Battle Cat drinking from a stream, right? Or from a bowl. I imagine they have bowls in the castle, right? Doesn't look like much of a battle pose, right? But that's what's really awesome about how subtle the flexibility of the character is. You know, once I take that helmet off, he really does take on the look and feel of Cringer because of the sculpted face and the beard that he has. So I'm not going to take off the harness, but just imagine that the harness is off. I'm going to articulate with one hand for the sake of the camera, not to have to put it down. Go ahead and put his head as far down as I can. All his paws are flush on the ground. And now you're thinking, okay, he has Cringer drinking out of a stream. But you know what? If you just change it a little bit and you're here, all of a sudden we have Cringer and Prince Adam, with Cringer rubbing up against his master. Anybody that has cats or dogs knows what I'm talking about. And how awesome a little scene isn't that, you know? Stepping off of a higher terrain, and he's just there hanging out with Prince Adam. That's an awesome picture. So I should probably just press the snap button. And I'll take another one over here. All right. Very cool stuff. Let's take a look from some other angles. And now the legs are flaring out. You see the slight adjustment, but how it makes it look like a very different pose, because all of the legs have a slight range of motion in different directions. So it really does complement people that want to take pictures and want to make tiny adjustments. Yeah. So now I'm going to change levels. I want to put another level underneath the hind legs and see what kind of pose I can get with him maybe, you know, climbing down a tree or a hillside to pounce. Just messing around with articulation, and I lifted him up. So he's about 2¼ inch up on his hind legs. Got them articulated there. I could have kept them tall, but I wanted to give them a little more of an action look. And you see how there is a contorted look to his body? Look at that. What a great, great look. Look at that. There is a contorted look to him, right? Even from the top. But despite that, his paws are flat. He really can articulate to meet the demands of these poses. I could have chosen to keep his legs flared out or just tuck them back in. I could have chosen to keep the hind legs completely tall or drop one down a step as if you were climbing down individual steps. It is really awesome. I am overall really, really impressed with this guy. Shout out to the artist. Very cool stuff. And then here, just for sake of demonstration, locked at the knees in the front, locked in the back, and we see paws flat on the mat. And I know that's important, at least for some of us, just from a balance standpoint, right? When you want to put them on a shelf, but from an aesthetic standpoint also, you want it to seem aesthetically pleasing. You rock, little dude. Very cool. I'm really impressed with this guy. We've got another pouncing pose. Paws flush. How cool does that look? You know, he's creeping up on Skeletor. Skeletor's blabbing, blah, 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 blah. You know? And here comes Battle Cat. Very cool. Just a little side by side by side. Revelation is by far the best articulated figure. There's no question about it. And I get some of the criticisms about the helmet, I guess because I've heard about them, but I don't agree with them at all. I think the new sculpt is awesome. It just makes so much sense because with his articulation, I could tuck that head all the way down and he can go right into a ramming pose of Skeletor right there. And he'd be face planted right there. Skeletor would. You know what? Let's take a look. And there it goes, right? Neck articulated, head, skull articulated down. And there goes the battering ram with the spike. And he's about to pounce forward. And I don't think Skeletor's gonna face plant. I think he'll either explode or go flying somewhere. But that's how awesome the articulation is. Look at all the musculature. It really is well designed. I mean, he just looks great. And as you articulate him, the musculature on the sculpt complements the articulation. So it looks like the pose is actually flexing the muscle. You know, it's really awesome. So for example, when you extend his legs forward, it really does bring out that curve, that curvature in that back muscle, and it really does look like he is stretching out and getting a really great, comfortable stretch. I'm gonna mount Cringer and pair him a little bit with Prince Adam and get a little footage of that. And just a little glimpse at what I mean there. You know, you can see the definition of the shoulder, and it looks accentuated by the pose, you know, and I just wonder if that was intentional, and I'm sure it was, because that's how artists are, although sometimes beautiful things happen incidentally. Very cool. I'm just taking a look at the articulation in the back, how well defined and articulated it is. He is reaching out, balanced to his buddy. Battle line, hey, what's up, dude? What's up, man? Welcome to the party. Very cool, very cool. I tried to stand him up on 2 legs, and no, it did not work. Even though it looks like it, he's just leaning up on the castle and climbing up, you know. And again, I could curl his paws around the contours there, you know. Just, I didn't even think of this, but just look how massive he is next to the castle. Anybody that has the Classics castle, and his legs are slightly flared out there. I could move the hips in, articulate them in, roll them back out, slightly forward, slightly back. Okay, so we've got Cringer in one of those really unique articulated poses that he can do, really expressive poses. And we're gonna just take a closer look at the fig in isolation without so many visual distractions around him. I'll go ahead and re-articulate him around. Boom. Gotta make sure I get this right, because I don't want to break my fig. There we go. There we go. All right. So we've got what is pretty standard fare in terms of mounts. The head does a 360-degree rotation. I've mentioned previously the neck only goes up and down. The head bows a little bit more, and the mouth opens as if we were drinking from a river or whatnot. The torso here does not twist. It does not bow. I actually prefer that so that it's still nice and sturdy. Despite being pretty solid, pretty sturdy, it is a hollow sculpt, but it's thick enough that it has some heft to it, and you don't have to worry about it cracking easily, you know. So that's cool. The hip joint is also really just kind of like a wobble. We've gone over that also. And in terms of the tail, it does a 360-degree turn. It goes up a bit, down a bit, and even though it might seem like the articulation is limited, with what it does do, it does really give you a cool range of poses for taking pictures or setting up dials. The paws do a 360-degree rotation. The knees in the front do also. The paws in the back do a 360-degree rotation. It's a little bit trickier to get around the sculpt, Just be careful. The joint between the ankle and the knee, I do not believe rotates. It might. It might. I'm not sure, and I don't want to force it. Here at the knee and the back hind legs, you have 360-degree rotation, and what feels like maybe ratchet joints. I'm not really sure. I think it is. I'm not sure. Can't tell for sure. We'll leave that to the pros on YouTube. Just some final thoughts on Cringer Battle Cat Revelations line by Mattel. Considering how much of a knockout this figure is, and it really is, wait till you get yours in your hand. It's pretty awesome. If there were awards given out annually, which there actually may very well be, that I'm unaware of, this guy is likely going to be up for some awards because he just really is a work of art and engineering. You know, it's what happens when inspiration and art come together. You know, look at that. That's a great shot. I'm actually going to take a still of that. And just kind of like looking at this and seeing what they may be going for, that they may actually be swinging for the fences with this line. I'm wondering to myself, what's the chance that we're going to get a Revelation Castle Grayskull? You know, what are the chances of that? We've gotten the Origins Castle Grayskull. We've gotten the Lego Constructs Castle Grayskull. We got the Classics Castle Grayskull. We got the 2000X Castle Grayskull. Are we going to get a Revelations Castle Grayskull? And if we get a Revelations Castle Grayskull, what's the scale of that going to be? And is it going to be of this kind of artistry and engineering? You know, this kind of attention to detail and care put into the product? Are we going to get this kind of a satisfying result if we get a Revelation Castle Grayskull? And I'm just saying that in comparison to a lot of the reactions, some even from myself, regarding the new figures, the new He-Man in particular, something about his design, but we really won't know until we get him in hand. Skeletor I actually kind of like, the new Skeletor. Skelegod I also like. Mossman I also like. Evelyn I also like. So I guess I just contradicted myself. Imagine that. But yeah, that's really all I kept thinking about as I kept taking pictures and recording video and footage as I was articulating him. Like wow, this is a grand slam. Imagine if they put this kind of energy into a Revelation Castle Grayskull. You know, that would be epic. Or at least it could be. Or a Snake Mountain. Could you imagine that? And definitely Panther. I definitely want to see Panther, and I would love to see Battle Lion, and I'd love to even see a new mount, you know, in the cat family, you know. But that having been said, it's been an absolute joy enjoying this figure with everybody in the YouTube community, in the adult and toy collecting community in general, and hope to see everybody again at some point soon. Maybe, you never know, maybe it'll be Revelation Castle Grayskull. May the power be with you! May the power be with you!